All right, guys, welcome back into another episode of To the Show Baseball Podcast presented by Beyond the Monster. I am your host, Andrew Parker, and today's episode, I got a special guest. We had Josh Lester on from the Sultanes de Monterrey baseball squad down there in Mexico, who the Red Sox are happening to face off against in a couple exhibition games here over the next couple days. So it's great talking to Josh. Obviously, he's a guy who's been around pro baseball. He's been, a former University of Missouri Tiger who ended up getting drafted by the Detroit Tigers, and then made his MLB debut there. Saw some MLB time with the Baltimore Orioles as well. Spent last year with the Royals, and he's down in Monterrey this year, down in the Mexican League. So he will be a guy that you'll be seeing square off against the Red Sox over the next couple days. But before I get any further, please, whether you're watching me on YouTube right now, listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, give us a like, give us a subscribe, 5-star rating, whatever it is, helps me out a ton. Obviously, I want to keep bringing guests to you guys, and all the support helps a ton. But yeah, without further ado, let me jump to the podcast here with Josh Lester. All right, guys, I am joined by Josh Lester of the Sultanes de Monterrey. If you haven't heard of that team, it's the team that the Boston Red Sox will be taking on in a couple exhibition games over the next couple days here. And Josh, I know we talked a little bit off air just about a lot of things. I know your backstory, but for the people at home that do not know your backstory, how did the road to Mexico lead for you? I know it's probably a long-winded answer, but the floor is yours.
I'll give you the short version. Went to school at Mizzou, obviously with the connection here, the Mizzou connection.
MIZ.
A little disappointed the other day in the basketball team, but we'll move past that. Got drafted in 2015 by the Detroit Tigers in the 13th round. Spent the first 7 years of my minor league career with them, and then spent a year with the Orioles and a year with the Royals this past year, and then a little bit of big league time mixed in there. Made my debut with the Detroit Tigers in 22, and then some more time, about a month in 23 with the Orioles, and then spent last year with the Royals, like I said, and then this year come down to Mexico and try to play well, and hopefully, obviously, the goal is to get back to the big leagues at the end of the day, but hopefully kind of bring some light to baseball down here as well.
Yeah, and for somebody even like myself who might not be as familiar with the Mexican Baseball League, obviously you see a lot of guys that have big league time kind of surface around down there. I know you have a few on your team with big league time as well, and obviously you see guys the Trevor Bauers of the world and some others that have spent some time down there as well, but. When did has the Mexican League been on your radar before this offseason, or was it one of the things that kind of popped up and you're like, it seems like a good opportunity and I'm going to take it?
The first time I thought about it was a little bit last year. I signed really late with the Royals. Camp had already started, and for everybody on here that doesn't really know, we don't start our opening day until April 18th, so it's a little later than the big leagues and the minor leagues, and so spring training consequently starts a little later. So I was kind of going through that last year a little bit. Never got to the point of getting an offer or getting close to signing down here before the Royals called. And then this year I had talked to a couple of the teams from last year that had some interest. And then a friend of mine, Tyler Visa, he pitched with the Twins coming up in the minor leagues. He was here last year and I actually work out with him in the off seasons. And so he laid some groundwork with the guys here to get me an offer, and then consequently signed to come down here.
Yeah, and you're brand new, obviously, to Mexico. I know you just got down there probably a week ago at this point. You haven't been down there too long, but for your first taste of spring training and the Mexican League and things like that, what are the obviously there might be a little language barrier as well as a big difference compared to spring training and pro ball in the States, but what are some of the differences you've noticed so far just in regards to maybe what they do down there, whether it's what kind of training they do, what are some of the differences you've noticed?
I think I would say it's a little more laid back. Like I said, we're still 3 weeks from opening day. We still have a lot of guys here, a lot of guys in the locker room. So it's And the way they do it here, there's like one minor league team for each team. So like each big league team has one minor league team. So we have pretty much two teams with us right now. It's pretty laid back as some of the guys, like the older guys. We have an older team that was in the championship last year, which also kind of leads to like kind of being a little more laid back. Everybody's been here, done this, like ready to roll, kind of knows what they need to get going. Um, the one game we've had at home, it's like a party. There's music going all the time. It's more of a party with a side of baseball, I think, sometimes than it is baseball with fans. Like, and don't get me wrong, like they're fully in the game, cheering, booing, but there's a lot of music, a lot of dancing, a lot of party in the stands, and it was really fun to be a part of.
Yeah, I think that's something that when the WBC went on, this what was it, 2023 when they last had that, or um, that's something that I noticed about other countries, like a lot of the Latin America countries, and obviously you even had the Asian countries, and just the fan bases are incredible. Like you're so used to, I think, fan bases around the United States, and it's just like, all right, like they're gonna like play some music every now and then. It's like, but it's more just like kind of chill. Like playoffs isn't really counting that, but I feel like other countries just like it's like almost like a party. Like every single time there's like a game going on. Is that something that you're gonna have to get used to, like when you're playing home games down there, compared to like when you were playing games in Baltimore system or Detroit system or whatever it was? Like, is that something that's probably going to take a little bit of time? Like, oh shit, it's a little loud right now.
Honestly, yes and no. Obviously, you do something that like I've done for 10 years in the States, right, in pro ball, and it's quiet when you're in the batter's box, or it's quiet when you're playing defense, pitching, etc. Um, but like in the off season, there's music every day, all day in the facilities. You're hitting, there's music going on. You're throwing, you're playing defense. There's always music going on, right? And so I've actually been a proponent, and like when they play a walk up song too long and a pitch happens, I'm like, that shouldn't be a bad thing. Like everyone in here plays music off the field, right? Like when they are getting their work done. And yeah, obviously there's going to be some times where it might be really loud and a little obnoxious, but I'm actually excited to kind of see how it goes. It almost reminds me, if you've ever seen an NBA game in person, it seems like there's always like music going on, right? There's always some sort of a beat, whether it's to get the fans in it or like a shot's made, they play some music. That's kind of what I felt like with little pauses for each pitch. It almost felt like it was like an NBA game.
Yeah, I don't know if you're like big into golf, but I went to a live golf when they had it up in the Boston area, and I feel like it's kind of similar to that, where it's like you go to like a PGA Tour event. It's kind of similar to like maybe an MLB event, where it's like okay, it's like there's it's like they got the big names out there, and it's kind of like it's like okay, they want peace, quiet, everything. But at live, it's like they're blasting EDM music when they're teeing off, and I'm just like I'm watching Phil Mickelson over here tee off with like
Right.
dubstep going on. But I kind of picture that down in Mexico. I don't know if that's going to be accurate. Like, if we're going to hear that when the Red Sox are up to bat, like some loud music playing, or do you think they might tone it down a little bit?
You definitely will. No, you definitely will. There's I want to say our stadium holds like 23,000 people, and I'm assuming that it's going to be pretty close to sold out. Um, and I mean, when we played our first game, it was just kind of like dugout to dugout, first level, and it was loud and constant. And so I think the Red Sox can expect to hear some noise throughout the game.
All right. Well, I am going to shoot into, just kind of talking about, the games at hand coming up this week. But in regards to yourself, obviously, like you said, you guys are still 3 weeks away from opening day, and, it's a little more lax right now. But so far down in camp, how have you been doing, like where are you going to be playing this year, like things like that, and how are you feeling like in the batter's box type of thing, like how ready are you for the season, and then like what should if fans are watching this game see from you, like what position will you be playing, where you're going to be hitting the lineup? Do you know any of that yet?
All I know is kind of what we've been doing. We've only played 4 spring training games. I've played third base each time. and so I'll probably play third base somewhere in the middle of the lineup, I would assume. But yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good. It's still early. Obviously, every at bat gets you closer and closer to being ready. But I probably got 10, 12 at bats so far in the 4 games, and so I like personally to get that closer to 25, 30 at least. But we've got the 2 games versus the Red Sox, and then I think we've got like 8 or 9 more spring training games to get at bats in. And so by the end of it, I should probably have even past the 30, 35 mark, closer to 40. And, but yeah, probably a lot of third base, maybe some first, some outfield. I'm not really sure. They just said, come on down here and hopefully play a lot of third. I enjoy third, but hopefully just get a chance to be in the lineup every day.
Oh, you brought up something interesting that I had to ask about, but you kind of mentioned that you're not fully ramped up yet, obviously, in opening days, 3 weeks out, and I have to believe that you're so used to a certain schedule being in pro ball in the States for the last decade, and by this time you're about to ship out to an affiliate at this point. Like I think within a week everybody's shipping out to AA, AAA, whatever it is. So is that something that it's a little odd right now because you're like by this time in the last like 9 years you've been like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like I've gotten plenty of games under my belt and I'm good to go. Like, has that been a little change for you that you have to get used to?
I'd say more so before I got here. Once I got here, it kind of felt like regular spring training, just with obviously the date being a little pushed back. But being in Cleveland, being at home for pretty much the whole month of February and a little bit more was very, very weird. Looking like usually it was closer to Valentine's Day is when I would leave, and like having Valentine's Day and then 3 more weeks and before I had to go anywhere was very weird. Obviously, all my buddies that are still playing in the States are leaving. A bunch of the guys I worked out with were going down. But yeah, once I've gotten here, it kind of feels pretty normal outside of the fact that I don't know what they're saying most of the time.
Yeah, that's something that I can even attest to in the Worcester locker room over the last couple of years, and they always had the Spanish speaking corner, and I'm like, I really wish I could talk to them. Like, I really want to, and it's something that I gotta get better at. I know that I'm trying. I'm on Duolingo. It's a work in progress. I told myself I was gonna be fluent in Spanish 2 years ago, and it just never happened. So it is what it is. But let's move on to previewing these 2 games here. And I know that I know we talked a little bit previously in regards to some guys that you've played with or you've played against before on the Red Sox side of things. But first, I'm going to shoot to your team, and I want to know on Sultanes' side. Who should fans like kind of I know there's some names in the lineup we were talking about previously, but who should fans be looking out for in the lineup surrounding yourself that they might know?
I think probably one of the bigger names in our lineup would be Tapia, Raimel Tapia. He played for the Blue Jays, I think, for a little bit. So
And the Red Sox.
He played for the Red Sox. I did not know that. I knew the Rockies and I knew the Blue Jays. But yeah, so obviously a lot of fans should know his name. From the pitcher side, we got a couple guys. Paul Fry pitched for the Orioles for a while as a reliever a few years back, I think. And so he probably made plenty of appearances against the Red Sox out of that bullpen back when there was a revolving door going through that Orioles bullpen. I mentioned Chris Ellis to you, pitched for the Orioles a little bit. I don't know if some guys would know who he is. Nolan Kingham pitched for the Braves for a little bit, mostly in the minor leagues. Myself, Tyler Viza, who I mentioned, pitched mostly in the minor leagues up to AAA with the Twins in St. Paul. I think that's probably most of the foreigners that at least would have some big league time or close to it.
Yeah, it's always unique too because we kind of mentioned before, it's like I always feel like every year there's a few guys playing down there. You're just like, holy cow! Like these are guys that are well-known names down here. I think Tapia is like a big one. I mean, he was just I think it was probably just less than 3 years ago. He was the Red Sox starting center fielder for half a season. So it's kind of crazy how fast those things can kind of go. But
It is. I know
um,
like some other teams down here. I know like Willie Calhoun is down
yeah,
here. Big name, a lot of big league time. Like Frank Schwindel. I know Frank Schwindel's down here. He's with the Cubs more than anybody. But I mean, what 2, 3 years ago, he was hitting in the middle of the Cubs lineup pretty much day in and day out. Like there's some bigger names with a lot of big league time in this league, and I'm excited because that makes it really competitive.
yeah, I think the talent's probably better than it was probably at this point 20 years ago down there, in my
I
opinion. But
I think even better than it was 3 to 4 years ago. I think that um, they've they've made some rule changes to allow more foreigners on each team. They've expanded their foreign roster, and for the people that don't know, most teams in other countries have a certain amount of guys on a roster, and then only a certain amount that can be from outside of that country. Asia specifically, it's like three per team, and I think it's more down here, but they've just expanded a little bit, and with the minor leagues shrinking the way that they have the last couple of years, it's pushing a lot of guys in my shoes that still feel like they can play at a high level, but maybe like they're older, like I'm 30 now, and so teams aren't as willing to give us a chance and be that kind of insurance plan, and so guys come down here and hopefully play well, and then maybe a team will give you a chance the next year, or if somebody gets hurt, I mean, pretty much another minor league team that they don't have to pay for in a way.
yeah, you also nailed it too. We could probably have a whole discussion on the domestic reserve list shrinking, but it's really put a lot of players like yourself that probably belong on at least a AAA roster out of work, and I could we could probably do a whole episode on that.
We could do more than
But
one episode on that, but
yeah,
I'll bite my tongue for now.
there we go. All right, let's talk about the Red Sox side thing too. You have a lot of experience with some of the guys who will be on that roster. Who are you kind of looking forward to? You know, whether it's facing in the batter's box or just seeing out there on the diamond. Like, who are some guys that you're kind of looking forward to facing off against?
Obviously, some guys like the big name guys like Bregman played against Alex Bregman when he was at LSU and I was at Mizzou. That's going to be fun to see him up close and personal again as a guy that not that we like came up together, but came out the same draft class and kind of he got to the big leagues in what 2 years and it took me 10. So a couple guys from the same draft class that both got to the big leagues. Obviously, his career is on another level, but like different stories and different ways to get to the big leagues, and it'll be good to see him. I'm hoping that Tanner Houck makes the trip at least um, as a Mizzou teammate. He's not on the list. I assume he's not going to pitch, but hopefully he at least makes the trip so I can say what's up to him. But I mean, I've played as you know against Worcester for what 3 years, 4 years,
Yep.
going back to my Toledo days, and then with Norfolk. And so I've run across a bunch of these guys, and I'm excited to see some of these young guys too. That seem to be kind of throwing themselves on the scene and not giving them an opportunity to not let them be in the big leagues. It's always cool to see some guys that are making a team or striving to make a team. It's always cool to see those guys in action.
Yeah, you know, you're going to be facing off on Monday night against a Red Sox starter in Richard Fitz that was at the beginning of beginning of spring training. He was projected to be, I think, the number 2 or 3 starter in Worcester, and he had such a good spring, and a few injuries happened, of course, but you know, he had such a good spring that he is now the number 4 starter for the Boston Red Sox. So he moved up probably 4 spots on the depth chart just because you know, he's obviously been hitting a career high in velocity and all of that, but at the same time, you know, injuries happen, like you said earlier, and it's going to be interesting to see as well with you being a left-handed hitter going against some of the guys in the Red Sox bullpen that they brought over, who you will most likely be seeing at least maybe one at bat. Some of the guys like, you know, Aroldis Chapman and Justin Slayton, Greg Weistert's got a nasty arm. So I know you're kind of hoping to face Aroldis Chapman. This would be, I'm assuming it's going to be the first time you've ever stepped in a batter's box against Chapman.
Yeah, it would be. And I don't know that hoping is necessarily the word, but no, but when you get a chance to face people of his caliber, like you always welcome it and you always cherish that opportunity, right? Like that's the goal. I want to face him in the big leagues over and over again. As many times as I can face him, I'll take it, right? Because most likely it's going to be in the big leagues, and so those are the guys you want to somewhat like. Not that you don't challenge yourself against other people, but those are the guys you really challenge yourself, kind of see where you're at. Obviously, Chapman throws 100 on a bad day. Like it's a challenge to hit Chapman any day of the week, but those are the guys you look forward to facing and hopefully squaring the ball up and getting a knock.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how Chapman's still doing it, to be honest. I feel like he's been closing out ball games for 20 plus years, and
Hey,
I'm pretty sure.
Kudos to him for looking the way he looks for 20 plus years. I mean, that takes
Yeah.
some time and effort to put a body together like that, and that's, I mean, to your point, that's why he's lasted so long, and that's why he can still throw 103 or whatever he's touching nowadays.
Yeah, I don't know if he's hitting 103 anymore, but he's still hitting triple digits well into your late 30s is quite impressive. I mean, it's impressive regardless. It's impressive if a 22-year-old's doing it, but
No doubt.
yeah, he's seeing him in person, and obviously, for Red Sox fans, he's a guy that we've kind of grown to like kind of root against a little bit, just because he's been wearing the Yankee colors for so long. Yeah, it's like you kind of had to, but now it's just like, oh, okay, this guy's now on our team. So it's been weird, but I'm definitely hoping to see. I know it's going to be a tough at bat for you, obviously being left on left, but man, I'd love to see you be able to try to step in there against Chapman and see what he's throwing into you.
No doubt. I know a couple of those other names. Weissert, I think, came. Where did he come from? The Cubs?
Yankees.
The Yankees. I think I had to have faced him.
Yeah, he was in Scranton for a
some
while.
point
I think while you were in Norfolk. Yeah.
I've played against the Yankees coming all the way from low A, so I've had to have run across him at some point.
And I think you mentioned as well that one of our, I know for my Worcester audience out there, our beloved catcher, Mark Colesberry, you obviously said you played for.
Fan.
Yeah, you played a year with him. Big fan of him. What's so special about Mark that you enjoy him so much?
He's just a great dude. I mean, it's always there's always a smile on his face. There's no matter what's coming, what's happened. Like you just walk into the locker room. I mean, maybe you got into town at 4 o'clock in the morning. You walk in the locker room. He's meeting you there with a smile and maybe cracking a joke, and it's a good day again. I mean, it's just one of those guys that brings the best in people just from an attitude and like a positivity standpoint.
Yeah, I'll say this about Colo. He obviously didn't get to play a whole lot last year. He spent a lot of the time as the devless catcher because there was 2 40-man catchers down in Worcester last year. So he was kind of like, he spent some time even as like the 4th catcher for a little bit. And I don't think his attitude changed at all. Like, I think from the day he showed up to the last day of the season, he played like 15 games maybe all year. He was still the same guy. Didn't let it get to him. He just went about his business. And it's like, that showed me who Mark Colesberry was. That showed me that it's like, this guy's a good guy. Like, he could have easily been walking around miserable all the time. And it's just like, screw this situation. Like, don't want it. But that's kudos to him, man. Good guy all around.
Absolutely. And that's, I mean, to his credit, like he stayed in baseball he's got to be pushing 8-10 years in minor league baseball as well. And so you don't stick around that long as a guy like him if you don't kind of have that attitude, because it's easy to find some people that are happy to be where you're at kind of situation. Like if you're going to sit around and not necessarily pout, but not take care of your business, when you do get your opportunity, it's not going to look right and it's not going to look good. And kudos to Colo. Like when he's gotten opportunities, he's played well and he keeps sticking around. Hopefully gets a chance to be in the big leagues at some point soon.
All right, I got one more question for you about previewing the Red Sox here, and then I got a couple more to end it regarding yourself. But I'm not sure. I don't know how much you kind of have seen about the big three prospects with the Red Sox or not, but all three of them are on the roster for Mexico. There you have Marcelo Meyer, you got Christian Campbell, and you got Roman Anthony. They're all three guys that are ranked by every publication in the top 20, at the top 15 maybe in baseball. So Roman Anthony, I believe, is number 2, right behind Roki Sasaki, and then you got Campbell in the top 10 as well. What's your familiarity, I guess, with them? Like, have you been seeing things about them just online, or like, do you have any familiarity with them?
Not really. I've seen a lot online. I know they made some loud noises in that what was that spring breakout game? They hit some balls pretty
Yeah.
far. Um, no, I know of all three of them. Obviously, it's going to be those are a couple of the guys that I'm looking forward to seeing in person. Um, but yeah, I'm not too familiar with who they are. I know I can't remember which one of the three, but it's pretty close with Jackson Holiday and
Yeah, it's Roman.
Roman. And I know obviously they probably played Team USA and all that coming up together with how good Jackson is as well. But yeah, I've kept up. I mean, I keep up with baseball. I'm a baseball guy. I hope to be in baseball until I'm like 80 years old. So I watch pretty much everything I can. And so obviously seeing those guys in person is going to make it even more fun.
There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on those three in particular because there's still some jobs up for grabs. And I know Alex Cora had just mentioned, the past couple days that they're not going to solidify jobs until after Mexico. So I feel like Christian Campbell's got a wide open spot at the second base job. Obviously, Roman and Marcelo are fighting for jobs as well. So it's going to be people are going to be watching and they're going to be seeing how these young guys are doing because every at bat counts for them right now. So it's fun to watch, especially since the pedigree and they're young guys and I don't know, they're all great guys. I've spent some time around them the past couple seasons and all three of them are fantastic. But all right,
and
so
obviously and there's a good chance obviously that not all three make the team, right? And so you hope that when you're in the dog days of July, dog days of August, one or two or all three of them end up in the big leagues, and then you get a little fresh legs, you get a spark from some of the young kids, and all of a sudden a 2-game losing streak and you feel kind of down turns into a couple of wins here and there. Maybe they do something crazy like fresh legs in August. It's crazy to say because baseball is not viewed necessarily as a physicality type of sport, but when you can get some fresh legs and some young guys that can make a spark, and then you got guys like Bregman and Devers and Casas sitting in the middle of the lineup, and all of a sudden you get a couple knocks, maybe an infield hit that they beat out, and then you hit a homer and you're winning. And all of a sudden it can turn a season on its head. And so I hope those guys, even if they don't make the team, kind of keep that attitude that you're talking about. And when they do get up there, they can bring that spark and bring that kind of energy to a clubhouse because baseball gets tough when you're traveling through the night all the time and you're showing up the next day and you got to hit 98, 99 and you were on a plane until 3 o'clock in the morning. Like it's not easy. And so sometimes a spark like that from some young kids can kickstart a second half season.
yeah, I feel like that's something a lot of fans don't really, I guess, grasp or like really get is like, you guys are like normal people, just like me and just like anybody listening to this. And, you guys flying around the country every 3 days and, you got long flights, you got some bus rides mixed in there to and from hotels, from airports. And it's like, you might not be getting into the hotel until 2 a.m. Sometimes it's tough, man. I think the rest of us would be just as tired as you are, and you got to get up and go do it again the next day, and you got to do it well. Kudos to you guys. All right, I got a couple questions left regarding yourself before I let you slide here. We talked about this a little bit, and I know you kind of mentioned a couple things previously, but I always like asking this question to guys just because it's I'm always curious what guys kind of hold themselves to, but. I'm not sure if you're really like a big goals guy, whether it's like, if you want to, have a certain hitting statistic, like you want to have like, a certain OPS or you want to hit a certain amount of home runs or whatever your goal is. What would you consider a successful 2025 for Josh Lester?
I'm not necessarily let's see how I can say this. I'm not an outcome related goal setter. because I think that, like, let's say my goal was to hit 30 home runs. Like, if I sat here and I told you my goal for 2025 was to hit 30 home runs, and then I look up in after a month of the season and I have two, like, it becomes not unreachable, but close to being out of reach, right? And so, like, if you set goals, in my opinion, that are very much the end of the season, it becomes very difficult if kind of stuff hits the fan to keep yourself with those goals. I don't necessarily set full season goals ever. Obviously, like, yeah, I'd love to sit here and be like, if I hit 30 home runs, I'm gonna be really happy. I will be really happy. But hopefully, my goal is to just hit the ball as hard as I can every time I go up to the plate. And obviously, like a good season, I want to get back to the big leagues. Like, the ultimate goal for me this year is to be play well enough that I catch somebody's eyes either this year in the middle of the season, somebody goes down, they need somebody that's been to the big leagues, they need somebody that can handle themselves or whatnot, and like, but maybe even put myself back in position for next year, getting a job and a spring training invite and stuff like that. I think that would probably be a successful season for me, would be putting myself in a good position for next year, getting back to go to the States or go to Asia or even come back here. I mean, so far I've enjoyed my time here, and from what I've heard, it's a really fun place to play baseball. And so I'm looking forward to the season, even if that stuff doesn't happen.
I got a tough question for you here. It's one of the last ones. Sorry to put you on the spot a little bit,
Oh,
but
you're good.
we talked about this season and what you're kind of looking for this year, but I'm gonna make you put on the future glasses here for a second. So let's fast forward 5 years. Nothing too crazy, like 5 years. That's kind of within view. So let's say we're in 2030. We're both of us are a ripe 35 years old at this point, which
Don't
is
say that
crazy.
out loud.
I know. I hit 30s last year as well, man. I get it. So we're both going to be a ripe 35 years old in 5 years from now. Where do you see yourself? Would you, and if all things went right, would you see yourself still playing somewhere, or what would you be doing?
Yeah, I mean, if all things went to perfection from what I could draw as like a dream scenario, I would obviously be in the big leagues. It's also a pretty big goal of mine to try and go play in Korea or Japan. Um, that would be a really cool place to be in 5 years. Maybe play a year or 2 years over here. Try and get back to the States. I know that obviously what we talked about earlier, it gets harder and harder every year to get to the States, but I would love to go play in Japan, to go play in Korea. Um, Outside of the playing aspect, because obviously that's idea one before anything else. I'd love to coach. I'd love to be either coaching in pro ball. Um, I'd love to go to Mizzou and coach. I loved my time at Mizzou. I mean, we've talked about this extensively, but I loved Columbia. I loved my time at Mizzou. I know, obviously, a lot of people around there, a lot of friends in St. Louis, a lot of friends in Columbia. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think coaching is probably the next step. Is the top of the goal list outside of being on the field playing. Um, I like the idea of coaching like pro ball. I like the idea of the conversations you can have with guys that are a little more mature is not the right word, but they've been through a little more. They've been through some struggles. And because, as you know, I've been through literally everything you could possibly go through in the minor leagues. I've been sent down. I've been sent home. I've been like not re-signed. I've been sent to the big leagues. I've sat on the bench for 10 days straight. Like, I've done anything you could name. I've probably been through it in minor leagues or the big leagues. And so I'd love to be a hitting coach. That's the goal. I'd love to say like maybe 15 years I'm a hitting coach in the big leagues. Like, I would love to be a big league hitting coach. Managers got too much pressure. I like the hitting side of things. I'm only concerned with one side of the ball at that point. Um,
Yeah, you don't have
but
to worry
no,
about those pitching staffs.
no doubt, being a manager would be awesome as well. I mean, my dad's a scout. He's been a scout for 30 plus years before I was born. played into AA with the Padres. Like, baseball is kind of in my blood, and I love it. Doesn't mean I don't love it, but I'd love to manage too. I think that I think about baseball in a way that a lot of managers do. I think about, like, it's hard for me to sit down and watch a baseball game calmly, and not calmly necessarily, but like without going through different scenarios in my head. And like, I'll sit with my family that isn't baseball players, or like I'll sit with my cousins that aren't the son of my dad, and we'll sit there and watch baseball and just like listening to them talk. And then I'll say something, and then like that'll happen, and they'll be like, "How'd you know that?" And I'm like, "Well, I've seen it a time or two. It's only been 10 years of professional baseball and countless more games with my dad growing up and stuff like that." So yeah, I think goal number 2 outside of playing would be coaching in any way, shape, or form. I think hitting is the first way that I'd like to go. I also don't think they're giving out pro ball manager jobs to people that have never coached before.
It's fair.
But I think that I love spending time in the cage. Like, half the time I just go to the cage if it's not even my group, and I'll just sit there and hang out, watch people hit. I got so many videos on my phone that aren't even me hitting baseballs. It's ridiculous.
I'm telling you, man, you already sound like a hitting coach. So
I got a Roman Anthony video on my phone too. If anybody was wondering, from the homer he hit in the one of those night games that went like 1 billion feet.
You'll be seeing him up close and personal. You can get try to get another.
I'm sitting there in the dugout like this.
Yeah, he's good to watch in the box. He's got a very, very smooth swing. But yeah, you kind of brought something up. You are talking about just kind of, you've been in every situation. Like, you've been all over the place. You've been in a lot of different situations, a lot of different scenarios. You played for one of my favorite minor league coaches around baseball, in Buck Britton. So I know that you've had some good coaches along the way at a few stops, and Buck is like top of the list for me.
No doubt. I had Buck, obviously, I had when he was already in AAA managing, right? Like, I played against him when I was in Erie, and he was the Bowie manager in AA. Another guy would be Mike Rebello. I had him. He's now the third base coach for the Pirates. I had him short season, low A, double A, and then he went to the big leagues with the Pirates. And another guy that I would put in the same grouping as Buck, and two of my favorite coaches that I've ever had. And I had the luxury of being with Rabs for 3+ years. And if it wasn't for Rabs, I may not have made it to the big leagues. I mean, he was a big part in helping me get through that first little bit. For guys that don't know who I am, I went to extended spring training after going to low A my first full season, and didn't really get a chance to play much in low A. Struggled when I did play. Got sent to extended, where, I mean, when you're a college draft, there's not too many guys your age in extended. It's a lot of younger Latin kids, some high school drafts. And then went back to low A the next year, and Rabs was the manager and kind of helped me get through the fact of, like, you're not going back to extended kind of thing. And consequently, I was an all-star that year, ended up in high A, double A the next year with him. So it was just a good person to have, even more than just a manager. Good person to have in my corner, a good person to have kind of backing me.
Yeah, I don't think I'll speaking for myself. I don't think I'll be surprised at all if I see you as a hitting coach in professional ball or even college ball. I know Mizzou needs all the help they can get, but that, in the future, I know that it'll come. It'll come whenever you're ready to do it. So, Josh, I appreciate you hopping on a ton and kind of previewing this little 2-game series that you're about to be facing some, like you just said, some of the Red Sox best that they have to offer in their lineup, and obviously Richard Fitz is nothing to sneeze at either. But Josh, thank you so much for hopping on and doing this, and kind of giving us a look into what to expect in the Red Sox series.
Absolutely, I'm excited to play these guys.